Hello and welcome to the Rusty Hammers YouTube channel. What you're about to see is a clip from Live on the Bottom Half, a show where we talk about the tournaments we have gone to and performed poorly at. You can catch us live at the Rusty Hammer on Twitch, where we make content for more casual players, including battle tone reviews, list reviews for tournaments. So you can follow us there if you want to catch us live, or like and subscribe here if you'd like to see clips and the show uploaded afterwards. Hope you enjoy what you're about to see. uh, and the last one is one of my favourite maps. I really enjoy this one, and I say that as someone who struggles with this one because of my army selection. Geomantic Pulse. So this is the one you are. I think they call it a Dawn of War setup, where you're in the back quarters. 4 objectives. Round 2, whoever goes second picks the objective. Essentially, become the pulse. And it travels across the map. It is worth 2 points. The adjacent ones are worth 1 point. So the score is a little bit off. Well, not a little bit off, but it's a little bit different to what we normally expect. So it is hold 1, hold an adjacent one, and 2 points for hold the pulse, I think. And then
hold any adjacent one.
Any adjacent one.
Yeah, so say you've got the pulse in one of the middle ones, there's an adjacent one either side, so if you control both those, it's technically 2 extra points.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. So you can get, the first round you get 3 points with your battle tag at the absolute most. The 2 middle rounds, you can get 7 points at the absolute most if you hold it. Before I talk about how wonderful, how much I love struggling with this map, I'll come to you first, Jason. Have you played the Pulse before?
Yep. Played this one for Feud. Played it with OBR. I did exactly what I should be doing, which is basically, in my mind, my tactic was to hold the middle 2 objectives, because even if you don't hold the pulse first turn, you're buffing that zone of, I get 1 point, and the next turn I get 3 points, and then the next turn I get 3 points. You know what I mean? It builds it up. It's all about board control on this one. You need models on the board, and OBR great, don't die that easily, but effectively I had like 6 models in a unit. Something small just walks onto that and you go, I've got to now either kill you or basically ignore this one and go to a different one. It's all about numbers, this one. Just holding those objectives for certain turns, being clever about it as well. You don't need to control the entire board.
No. Not at all. Paul, how do you find this? So you played this a couple of times now, I guess, it was at the Feud.
Yeah, I've tried this one a couple of times now, and at Savage Hammer, I actually played it against my second Ogre army, which was Beast Claw Raiders, and essentially he had 4 or 5 Mammoths and then 2 Mournfang, just kind of chirping in there. And once again, a strong weakness to my Gits was just those impact hits. Devastating. So the idea that it was happening with mammoths as opposed to large fat men was even more prevalent and a whole lot more painful. The one thing I found on this though was I probably stretched myself too thin. I tried having my squig herd on one side of the map to try and have some sort of control over on the first objective of there. I had my shooters on the other side of the map, and then the rest of my force was ready to take the center, because like Jason and I have spoken about this, is they hold those center ones early on to get those maximum points. And ultimately, my shooters and squigs went up, 2 mammoths kind of went down that way, and then there was no units left on the sides. So it's a good map. In terms of the actual map plan and everything, I like it because it forces people not to sit on an objective for the most part. You are kind of pushed to go left to right or right to left sort of thing. And with that in mind, you know, it just adds more fluidity on the board. I did struggle, I have to admit, against my opponent. Until my Fanatics came out. And that's when there's kind of like 2 Mammoths were in against this unit. They eventually killed the unit, outsprang 10 Fanatics, did lots and lots of wounds, and then 2 Mammoths ran away. And then the Fanatics kind of followed after them. And then that's when I couldn't roll a 3 for charging. So when that happened, we actually had one of the TOs came over because of the noise I made. And he was like, "Is everything all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, we just had a game-defining moment here. If I had got my fanatics in, it would have done something. But ultimately, now they're no longer there. He'll be able to charge me." And then without impact hits, the fanatics wouldn't be able to do anything. So yes, it's a good map overall. But I think once again, practice will make you a better player on this one as you come to understand what you have to do with your force and how are you going to do it with your force. So that was my experience really. It was an interesting one. All 5 rounds though, I have to admit, I was expecting it to be a lot faster with his impact hits, but thankfully with the Loon Shrine, should I say, bringing back some of my units, it kept me going on the board for a little bit until he smashed the bubble. And then once again, it was my Loon Boss kind of leading the way with the remnants of my Gits kind of straggling behind, just trying to keep up. It was a closer match than I thought, definitely.
I love this. I think that a lot of GW maps have something happen in the second round. Essentially, that's where the twist happens and it goes. I think this twist is really, really good because if you're going second, there's not always a good answer about where you can put the pulse. Like most of you give it to you where you're strongest, but then because you're going second, they know to rush up towards you and block you in. And that's what happened when I play Zinch. Looking at what Jonathan said there about Luminef, castling up, they move up and you can keep scoring. And I didn't have enough to punch through pink collars at all. So I'm a massive fan of this. I struggle with it because I tend to score very well in the early ones and then my points drop off. And having that kind of dynamism on the score sheet, I think is very, very good. As you're trying to find ways of kind of getting your stuff around or catching that one. I think it must have been about 12, 15 giant rats through. I just needed to kill the Curseling with my 4 up, -2, and I did nothing. And then, of course, the Curseling killed all my kind of rats like it was a play date. So I like that. I really like there's a lot of fluidity in it. You have to get around. You have to have movement. Your IDK might really like this one because you can't cast up and you're what? I'm behind you. So yeah, you're right. For a long time, I thought, yeah, you control the second, but the armies I play, well, I suppose Khorne does, and don't have too much staying power. It's about how I think it comes down to how flexible you make your castle, like to get up and hold those. And this was the one where I had my clan rats and the pink collars, just desperately trying not to hurt them, so they keep splitting and take the objective away from me. So yeah, I really, really like this map. Very dynamic. It moves. I don't think there's if you go second and you just get rid of an objective, there's a right answer. You know which objective you're going to get rid of in those kind of maps. In this one, I think you still need to put quite a lot of thought into it. It's like, do I want to be chasing the objective, or do I want to put it there so I can go box them in?
Yeah. Comes back over you.
Yeah. And if you have like an OBR, your Mortis Guard, you could probably do that. There's not much movement. And you just got to hold those objectives and just hope you can fight it out. If I keep losing games on this map, I might change my mind on it. That's actually bullshit.
We have actually had Jonathan as well comment in. He actually played Lumineth on this mission, and he said that they actually really castled up. So it kind of worked well towards him because he was keeping them hemmed in whilst the objectives were moving along. Admittedly, though, he has still had a very bloody game. With only a few models left over. But certainly to show that some forces may work better than others in this one, and particularly how you play with them. So Luminef is a default that they may go to, particularly if they have Sentinels, is castling up. And if they go like full meta, so a lot of times Techless and Sentinels, and castling up and perhaps on this map may not necessarily work as a successful strategy. And they may have to diversify their plans on how to use their forces. So, yeah, interesting to hear that one, actually, to be honest, because I haven't really thought about the idea of castling up with such a force. may not work all the time.
Yeah, so I think he played Tom. Aluminum. He's not a Tetris player. I think so that was I think it was the Nuke Civil War. Yeah, just give a shout out because I think anyone who wants to make a Lumineth list without Techless deserves props.
Oh, agree. Yeah, clap. Yeah.
That's cool. For that, so they were the maps we had at Savage Hammer. So that kind of brings up the end towards our Savage Hammer chat. And as I say,